what happens when you get on the road at 6:30 in the morning. You kind of put things in and don't remember which slot you stuck them into, I guess. I'm going to talk about some of the changes to the weed guide first. I know not everybody's purchased them, but just to kind of give you an update on what some of the label changes are this year, as well as also talking about some of the newer products. So at least you're aware about them. So if you hear of some of these products, you know where they might be used and how you might want to use them. So I'm going to cover the stuff that's really talking about some of the changes in soybeans, and then Wes will come up a little bit later and talk about some of the changes in corn. So one of the things, so Envive has been a product that's been on the market for several years now, and what this is one of those premixes that you can use before glyphosate or before Ignite and Liberty Link soybeans, or even before some of use them in unconventional soybeans. But what it is basically Valor and Classic, and it also has some Harmony in there. There was a label change this year, and it really affects this area if you're using some higher rates of Envive. So what they've done is they've actually divided the state south of I-96 and then north of I-96. So in this area, if you use Envive, the highest use rate you can use is 2.5 ounces. So just kind of keep that in mind. Also remember, because these products, there's a number of them I'm going to talk about that have Classic in them, the rotation restrictions and also the pH restrictions on with higher soil pHs. So if we go above anything, you know, actually the guys in the south, if they have higher pHs, they're going to only use 2.5 ounces also. There's a new product out there called Authority XL, and if you look in the right-hand corner, you're going to actually see the page number. So if you have a weed guide and you want to follow along and make any extra notes, all the information should be in there. But Authority XL is a product that's being sold by FMC. This is kind of the same product that Canopy XL was. So if you've used Canopy XL in the past, Authority XL is, DuPont got rid of Canopy XL, now FMC has Authority XL. So it's the same components, it's Classic and also Spartan or Authority. The ratio is a little bit different than the old formulation of Canopy XL. We actually have a little bit more of that Authority in there. And the typical use rate for kind of a foundation program is going to be 3.2 ounces per acre, and that'll give you about 1 ounce of Classic and 4 ounces of Spartan. This can actually be used also as a fall applied treatment for burn down, also giving you some residual control in the spring. It can be used in no-till situations or pre-emergence. As far as some of the restrictions, again, because of the products that are used, you wouldn't want to apply it once the soybeans are up. So basically giving yourself 3 days after planting. And then because of the Classic in there, the soil pH restrictions when you get to some of our higher soil pH soils. Rotation restrictions are going to be based on those soil pHs, and you can see here, basically you're fine to go to small grains 4 months later, which we would have plenty of time. And then if the pH is less than 6.8, then we can go ahead and go to corn. Looking at in no-till, for burn down requirements, you would need an adjuvant, either a crop oil concentrate or a methylated seed oil. And then also ammonium sulfate is recommended, particularly if we were tank mixing with glyphosate, which a lot of times we would. We would either recommend tank mixing with glyphosate or maybe gramoxone or 2,4-D, or maybe some combinations thereof. As far as weed control, again, this is going to be one of those ones where we're looking at residual control early in the season before a in-season either glyphosate or Ignite or any of our other types of herbicides. It's going to give you excellent control of lamb's quarters, pigweed, and wild mustard. Good control of nightshade, smartweed, horseweed, common ragweed, and velvet leaf. And it will give you some suppression of grasses and giant ragweed. So that's kind of where this product might fit. And again, it's one of those other options for premixes that you could use. Now, there's a change that did not make the weed guide. There was a new update after that was printed. Basically, it may not affect you this year, but FlexStar GT is a premix that I think we introduced a couple of years ago. This is basically glyphosate and FlexStar, and really focusing, using it on post-emergence and Roundup Ready soybeans, giving you another mode of action in there, particularly to control, harder to control weeds that might be either more glyphosate tolerant or resistant. The old formulation was a 3.27 pound gallon, and the use rate was 3 pints. They're coming out with a new formulation that's actually a 3.5 pound gallon, and that use rate will be 3.5 pints. So just be aware of, if you're using that, which formulation you have. And then really where this would fit, again, would be another mode of action post-emergence, particularly to control some of the glyphosate-resistant weeds or weeds that are hard to control with glyphosate. So common ragweed, giant ragweed, pigweed, and eastern black nightshade. So those are ones where this particular premix might actually help.
Which one would give us the most help with the lamb's quarter?
Not Flexstar. So if lamb's quarters is an issue, a potential tank mix partner would be using something like Harmony. So that would probably be our best bet post-emergence if you needed some help with lamb's quarters. Now, another herbicide you're going to hear a little bit about, this is something that Monsanto's coming out with, is Warrant. And you can use it both in soybeans and in corn. Wes will talk about how to use it in corn. But in soybeans, it's basically looking at it as a tank mix partner with glyphosate and Roundup Ready soybeans. And so basically applying it anywhere from emergence up to R2 soybeans. Typically you would apply it probably with that first glyphosate application when those weeds are about 4 inches tall. And what it is, it's an encapsulated acetochlor. So acetochlor is a herbicide that we've never used in soybeans, but it's been used in corn for a number of years. Your Harness, Surpass, Degree, any of those herbicides are acetochlor. Now what Warrant is a different encapsulation, and it does not have a safener. So when you're looking at it in corn, Wes will talk about this, but you're really looking at it just as a post-emergence application in corn because it doesn't have the safener. Now the use rate for Warrant in soybeans is 3 pints per acre. Because it is a residual herbicide, it doesn't have any post-emergence activity. So again, it's best if it is tank mixed with glyphosate and applied. So we're looking at providing residual control of some of our grasses and smaller seeded broadleaf weeds. It can cause some crinkling on the leaves after application. We've compared it to some of the other products like Dual and Outlook that we can use in the same fashion, and I'll share some of the results that we've had with those with you. So again, residual control of grasses, pigweed, and eastern black nightshade. So instead of just applying glyphosate, and if there's later emergence of these weeds, you know, the glyphosate world's not going to hold them back. But with Warrant, you're looking at trying to have kind of a lay-by application where it would suppress these weeds from emerging after that glyphosate application. So here's some of the research that we've done. This is one of the studies that we looked at, comparing one shot of Roundup with a combination of Roundup plus Warrant, Roundup plus Dual, and Roundup plus Outlook. So again, these three would be fairly similar type uses. For injury, actually the Warrant appeared to be the safest, very similar to Roundup. And then this year we saw that we got a little bit of injury with that tape mixture with Dual and Outlook. Again, some leaf crinkling, but it outgrew it. We didn't see any differences in yield. As far as late season grass control, this would be Roundup alone. So we had a lot of late grass emergence after that Roundup application. Good control with the Warrant, Dual, and Outlook, so it suppressed any grasses from coming up. Lamb's quarters one is that doesn't usually come up really late, so the Roundup application alone did well, and we didn't see any benefits here for any of those tank mixes. And then with pigweed, we did, a lot of times we get late season pigweed emergence. We saw some benefits with Warrant, Dual, and also Outlook. So that's kind of where this particular product might fit. Now, one of the other uses that we have this year is we've included in the burn down section the use of Ignite as a burn down herbicide. Again, Ignite, where we've used it before, is in Liberty Link soybeans or Liberty Link corn, but we can also use it as a burn down, and the rates are anywhere from 29 to 36 ounces per acre. We would include ammonium sulfate as the spray adjuvant. You don't need any additional NIS or crop oil, just AMS. And then, like herbicides like Germoxone, it works better under warm, sunny conditions. It's a contact burner herbicide, so that's where we see the best activity. And also because of that, we need to have good coverage. So we need good spray coverage, so that's extremely important, and really need to have a minimum of at least 15 gallons per acre for our spray application. It can be tank mixed with 2,4-D or any of the residual herbicides that are out there. As far as weed control of Ignite by itself for some of our burn down weeds, excellent control of common chickweed, good control of horseweed, field pennycress, and a lot of the mustard species like shepherd's purse, and only fair control of purple dead nettle and henbit. And we see that also with glyphosate and gramoxone. So none of these really have a benefit over the other to pick up control of those particular weeds. Now, last year we talked about a new family of herbicides called, that they kind of called Kixor. Last year I got a lot of questions, so what's this Kixor herbicide? Well, Kixor isn't really the herbicide. That's kind of how they're branding this family of herbicides. So the herbicide that we're really talking about here is Sharpen, and this is used as a burn down herbicide. It's labeled in both corn and soybeans. And then they've also had, in 2009, they introduced Notill, which would have been that Sharpen plus Pursuit. So guys that are growing sugar beets wouldn't be using this. So that's labeled in soybeans. And last year they had a product called Integrity, which was Sharpen plus Outlook. Now in 2010, there's no longer Integrity, and they've changed that to Verdict. So we're still looking at Sharpen plus Outlook, but it also has a soybean label, so that can be used in soybeans. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how these might actually fit into a system. First, kind of a review on Sharpen, and also to mention that there has been a slight label change. And really, Sharpen is a product that you would be using in no-till soybeans. It's a PPO inhibitor, so it's a burner-type herbicide. In soybeans, where we really see the benefit would be in a burn-down application. The use rate we can use in soybeans is only an ounce. In corn, you can use more, but at an ounce rate, you don't really see any residual activity. So what you're looking at is, how is it going to help me control the weeds that are up at that time? It does need to be, this is where the change is, it needs to be applied with methylated seed oil and AMS. Last year, I think it said MSO and COC. It's now just methylated seed oil, and it really is where it should be used is probably with tank mixes with glyphosate. By itself, it's not going to get all the weeds that we usually see in no-till systems. So it's kind of another additional thing to have with glyphosate for burn down. And really the key driver weed would be horseweed. So if you had a glyphosate-resistant horseweed problem, that's where this particular herbicide would be beneficial. So instead of just using glyphosate plus 2,4-D to take care of that, remember you need 7 days before planting soybeans after you use 2,4-D. You could use Sharpen plus glyphosate to control that horseweed and plant immediately after.